Oh, hello. My name is Nicholas Rogers, and along with Chengpei Gong, Jinzhen Guan, and Jacob Mendoza, we were tasked by Dr. Menching in our IT auditing class with doing an application audit using SAP. And SAP is an enormous ERP system that I don't think anyone in their right mind would completely audit, but we took certain chunks of SAP and we did an audit on them, and just kind of giving us a grasp on how SAP works and the controls and different aspects of SAP that you need to be auditing. So without further ado, Pei is going to come up and talk to us a little bit about client settings.
We will start from the client settings, and the transaction code is SCC4. We have training and education roles, so we do not have many restrictions placed on our client. But if we were looking at a test, development, or production client, we will see different settings. Changes should not be allowed in the production environment except for specific circumstances. But testing and development would have different change settings. Here is a screenshot, and we can see the levels of protection here. We will go on to client copy. The client copy is used to transfer information from the source client to the target client within the same system or to another system, either within one SAP system or to a different SAP system. There are 5 parts of the client copy to be examined. The local client copy, the remote client copy, the import and export, and the client copy log. But we do not have authorizations to the first part. It should be considered as good control in place. We can see the client copy log in the system, which is the historical copy record. On the screen in the log, the target client is who we examined, and the copy type is local. The status is successfully completed, and the deleted lines indicated here. GNOSS is the data that has been entered into the system throughout the semester. So we may not get access to our account the next semester. Let's go to Link about the verifying.
I'm going to talk a little bit about transport management now. We need to verify that the transport management is configured properly. Transport management sends bits of data between the SAP systems, and if some kind of malicious piece of code were slipped into a system, a rogue piece of code, it could screw the entire system up. And so as auditors, we need to make sure that the transport management system is configured correctly, and so that there's no potential to wreak havoc on the system. So what I did was I went to STMS command, system overview, and I found that transport management has not been confirmed for our client 120. So if this is adequate for the client's needs, it's not a big deal, which I assume it's not for ours. Changes without automatic recording has been set. This is the transport management system kind of screen, and looking into it, there's 2 systems. One is a dummy system, one is our system, and we don't need to worry about the dummy system because it's not set up at all. So because it's not configured at all, there's no need to worry about it. Another huge point to make is verifying that the proper controls exist over number ranges. We need to ensure that proper numerical values have been assigned to transactions or documents, and that only the proper users have access to this data. So you go into swim as a transaction or command code. Your authorization object is S_number execute, and then number range maintenance comes up. We were not authorized to do to see who has authorizations. So if a client of ours wanted us to audit that, we would need authorization for that. So the authorization object is S number, Here's the description, number range maintenance. We check out permitted activities. Here is the values defined for S number, change display, change number range status, initialize number levels, and maintain number range objects. Here I am entering the authorization object into the users by complex selection, and we are not authorized, so that's where we stop. And now Jake is going to come up and talk to us a little bit about users and authorizations.
Alright, users and authorizations is extremely important when taken into consideration with an organization's computerized system, especially a complex system such as SAP. Users and authorizations is extreme importance, and especially the controls that are in place over this area. One particular control that I'll be speaking about today is the segregation of duties. We want to make sure that regarding users and authorizations that the duties are segregated properly. Some of the duties specifically that should be segregated properly is maintaining users, creating users and profiles, creating roles, as well as assigning these roles, and as well as being able to view who has access to these roles and profiles and so on. So I'll be speaking a little bit about that. This matrix here is a part of the audit program that we used for the particular system that we tested. It's a way of testing whether the duties are segregated properly for the profile generation, which is under the authorization object S user AGR. And in the following screens, I'll show you how we test see if these duties are segregated properly. We start by going to the transaction code SWIM, which we touched on this a little bit earlier, but it's an extremely important transaction code as it gives you access to all kinds of very important information to an auditor regarding several areas in users and authorizations. This includes users, roles, profiles, authorization and authorization objects, as well as transactions and change documents. So we start by going to the SWIM transaction code. We then check authorizations by complex selection criteria. We start by looking at S user pro, which is an authorization object that has to do with authorizing profiles. So you type in S user pro into the authorization object and click execute, and this screen shows the description of the authorization object. Like I mentioned, it's for authorizing profiles, as well as the permitted activities are also displayed in association with this authorization object. Create or generate, change, display, delete are a couple of the permitted activities associated with this authorization object. The next authorization object we look at is S user AGR, which is displayed on this screen. This authorization object has to do with roles in particular. Roles combine users into groups to assign certain permissions. So this authorization object displays the permitted activities associated with the authorization object S user AGR. Now, Jinzhen will speak a little bit on powerful profiles and default users.
Thank you, Jay. So I will talk about the protection of default users and the powerful profiles. There are 4 main sessions we tested. The first one we tested whether the super user's star is secure properly. And as you can see this screen, the star has the password has been changed, but have not been locked. And we asked these questions to the technical person, Gino, and we know that because it's always a good idea to have a backdoor back into the system if there's a knockout. And a knock-in step start is a much easier way to do that. The next one, we tested whether default users are secure properly. As you can see, the DDIC and the SEPIC passwords have been changed, so that means they are protected well. And the early watch user, we couldn't test that user because it's on another client 066. But according to Gino's interview, we know that the early watch is SAP diagnostic client, and when SAP went to R3, many companies had a lot of problems with errors. And the Chico State found that after opening up system to early watch, when SAP did it, as opposed to when Chico State fix it themselves. Okay. The next one is we tested access to powerful profile is restricted. We find that most of users who can access SEP all and the SEP new powerful profiles have been locked, except for Jin Manchin and Nancy Jones. But we found that their passwords have been changed. So we conclude that the powerful profiles in SAP are protected well. The next one, we tested the authorization group that contains powerful user is restricted. And as you can see this screen, the most users who are in the supergroup have been locked, except for these five users. But their passwords have been changed, except for the second user's G-COVID. So we should know who is this person and who is his and what is his role, and did he leave the position of the Chico State by asking the technical person. Okay, next, make a conclusion.
So, as auditors, while we don't know the full policy of Chico State in regards to SAP, we believe that there's strong controls, and we believe that what we found in our audit is indicative of a strong system and strong user controls and authorizations. So we thank you very much for your time, and we hope that you found this video informative.